The new AG47 apparel drop is live. We've got shirts, hats, mugs, mouse pads, and bordered pieces, and a bunch of bold new designs made for silver stackers. The quality is amazing. The designs look sharp, and this drop has something for everyone. Use code SLAYER47 at checkout for 15% off your order for a limited time. That's Slayer47 for 15% off. Go check out the new AG47 apparel drop and grab your favorites while they're still available.
So an article came out today that set a price target of $130 for silver. Now, they're also saying that this sharp decline may be forming a bottom, which I have also said. I think that the days of $57, $58 silver are over, and once we broke past the $60 threshold, now it's easier for it to go higher and harder for it to go lower, where before we broke above 60, it's harder for it to go higher and easier for it to go lower, but now that was the bottom, so we better be taking advantage since it's only looking like prices are going to go up from here. So I want to talk about this article and see where they're coming from. One, because it just came out today, and two, because $130, that's a pretty high forecast, right? That's not just $70, $80 like a lot of people are saying, and that's even looking pretty bullish since silver's sitting at like $61 today. So we're going to look at this. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think silver's going to do by the end of the year. And with that said, let's jump into it. So in January of this year, silver prices surged to a historic high. According to data from Dow Jones market data, the intraday high reached $121.79 with a settlement high of $115.50. However, prices quickly retreated, now dropping nearly half from the peak to around the $60 range. After hitting the peak, silver prices saw a single-day drop of over 30%, marking one of the largest one-day decline in nearly 50 years. And before that was Silver Thursday, where the price of silver dropped over 50% in one day, and it was on a Thursday, and that was from the Hunt brothers cornering the market and during all that shenanigans. So though silver is known for its volatility, some analysts have described this year's trend as resembling a meme stock trading activity. And I couldn't agree any more. Now, the thing with the meme stock is, though, it's all speculative and there's nothing really behind it giving that meme stock value. Like when, a perfect example, when Elon Musk tweeted out 4 letters and shot that coin up thousands of percent. Talking about Dogecoin. Elon Musk tweeted out DOGE, talking about Dogecoin, and shot it up thousands of percent just by a 4-letter tweet from one person. Now, silver, of course, has fundamentals. It's been history. It's been money for 5,000 years, right? There's actual value, intrinsic value to it, but the price acting like a meme stock or a pump and dump is real. I mean, even still till today, we've seen $5, $6 price swings within less than 24 hours. That's not normal, especially for precious metals. So Goldcore's research director, Jan Scoyles, told MarketWatch that the sharp price fluctuations have not altered the demand fundamentals, emphasizing that silver's core demand story still stands. She pointed out that the futures market currently treats silver as more of a tool sensitive to interest rates changes, while governments and industry increasingly regard it as a key resource. And that is so true. So true. That I'm so glad that the way that I'm assuming it's a she or he, worded that. The futures market, right? Everything is so specifically worded right here, and it's so true that you could easily read past this and not understand the depth of what she or he just said. Let's read it again. She's emphasizing that silver's core demand story still stands, right? First of all, just like my video I posted yesterday about the supply and demand fundamentals, the deficits, the silver shortage, is it a myth or is it real? That's why silver has so much value, even more so than gold. But She pointed out that the futures market currently treats silver more as a tool sensitive to interest rate changes, just like gold, right? Just like gold. But, and I guess governments and industry increasingly regard it as a key resource. So you have one side of the coin, pun intended, because silver has two rules, sensitive to interest rates, the dollar index, just like gold is. But the other side is like, well, silver's used in industry and governments, like silver, like, the Silver Act, System Integrity through License Vault Expansion and Resilience Act, which are trying to expand COMEX vaults without more than 150-mile radius of the New York COMEX. And how can we acquire all this silver? And we need to accept and approve more vaults around, the United States for national security purposes, which is literally what they said. So we're looking at all of it from two different points of scale, and they're both true, but in the immediate term, one's more important than the other. Of course, meaning the interest rate changes affecting the price immediately, but the longer term outlook of what silver truly gets its potential from is, of course, the industrial side of things. So this divergence in perception has resulted in a noticeable gap between financial market pricing and physical demand. Very true as well. Man, I want to interview this person. Skoyles believes that especially as paper silver, such as futures and other financial products, is being sold off, the importance of physical silver is instead rising, which is also true. So it is a girl. She also mentioned that the market was generally surprised by the scale and speed of the price's sharp drop from above 120 to below 60, given that there was no corresponding deterioration in demand. Interesting. While shifts in interest rate expectations, a stronger dollar, and position adjustments certainly impact pricing, they cannot fully explain such dramatic volatility. And why is this so important? Well, because there's almost a 1-to-1 correlation between silver demand and the price. Like if you look at a graph showing what silver demand is to where the price is, it's almost identical. But this situation, demand is still up, but price is dropped. So there's a disconnection there, which is very rare and should also be suspicious. So and like they're mentioning, they cannot fully explain such dramatic volatility. You can't explain that because that's not how it normally behaves. Silver possesses dual attributes as both a precious metal and industrial metal, like I was just mentioning, with applications spanning electronics, solar, electric vehicles, artificial intelligence, data centers, and defense. The sources of demand have not significantly weakened recently. Solomon global analyst Nick Cawley told MarketWatch that the, quote, parabolic rise at the end of January was likely driven primarily by momentum rather than fundamentals, making a sharp correction inevitable at the end of the rally. He believes that a nearly 50% pullback may begin to attract the attention of long-term value investors like you and I. However, Cawley also cautioned that investors should avoid aggressively adding to silver positions while global interest rates could continue rising to curb inflation. So from an annual perspective, silver's dropped about 15% this year, a steeper decline than gold's roughly 4%, with both metals pressured by a stronger dollar and expectations that the Federal Reserve may raise rates further. And that actually has started to look more or less, what's the word for that? I guess people are now realizing that it might not be as extreme as once was thought. For example, Bank of America was thinking that interest rates, there would be 3 more interest rate hikes or cuts. And I think Dutch Bank said 2, and most people were thinking at least 1. But now, as Kevin Warsh, the new federal chairman, came out the last meeting, people are more optimistic that there might be none, if even 1. So that affected silver's price as well in the immediate term. So let's look at this. So Robert Minter ETF investment strategy director at Aberdeen Investments, analyzed that factors driving silver's rise earlier this year included India allowing pension funds to invest in gold and silver for the first time in early December. That was pretty crazy. It approved April 1st, but also China banned silver exports in the beginning of the year on January 1st. And now actually India is going back and actually restricting silver imports, not exports, imports, meaning they're making it harder to get silver. Usually it's the opposite. Usually they make it harder to leave so they can keep more of it. But now India is backpedaling after the April 1st stuff and making it harder to acquire silver imports. And here we go. Here is the actual article I was going to cover in a separate video. How can I get out of this? Here we go. Silver import curbs in India. DGFT introduces licensing regime after duty hike. India has tightened silver imports by moving the metal to a restricted category that requires government license shortly after raising import duty on gold and silver to 15%. Meaning it's actually harder for them to import silver, which I think is just pretty crazy. That doesn't make sense, but I actually, when I first covered it, probably a month ago, there was a theory behind why they're doing this. But for the sake of this video, I'm not going to get into all of it, but there's a lot of black market buying and selling, and it's actually going to help some of that going on. Who knows really why, but let's keep moving on. So, he noted that these factors attracted considerable short-term capital inflow, but most investors exited quickly once prices started to weaken. However, the withdrawal of speculative funds may actually stabilize the market structure. In terms of long-term or longer-term supply and demand, silver's fundamentals remain broadly positive. Mike Parkin, Vice President of Strategy and Investor Relations at Hecla Mining, said the company agrees that silver demand remains robust, citing forecasts from the Silver Institute that 2026 will mark the sixth consecutive year of supply deficit, with mine production unable to keep up with demand growth. The correction, and here's the important part, the price correction is also seen by some market participants as a necessary process. Paul Mlazinovic, author of Investing in Gold and Silver for Dummies, told MarketWatch that the market frenzy at the beginning of the year pushed prices into triple-digit territory too quickly, so a pullback to the $58 to $62 per ounce range will help build a bottom. That is exactly what I said. That is exactly what I said. And this is actually the person that expects silver prices might rebound to an 80 by year end to test the $110 to $130 range next year, which would mean early next year. Now, I got to pause right here for a little bit. Hopefully you guys don't mind my rambling, because there's always something important that I'm saying going off of the information that I'm reading. But silver went up way too fast. We're talking $30 to $121 within just a handful of months, less than a handful of months. That's extreme overbought territory. Like, that's overbought territory to a whole nother description of what overbought territory even really means. I always say if it goes up, it's going to go down, 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 down. It went up way too fast. Now, I was mentioning that this is dangerous, but most people are saying, well, there might not actually be a correction because this is new price discovery. So normally we would see a huge pullback coming or a correction coming, but we might not actually see that this time with silver because it broke out of the 47-year cup and handle. Well, we were wrong, but the point still stands. Going from $30 to $121, when it corrected, when it started to go down, it was going to go down hard. because prices, there was no stability anywhere. It needs to go up a little bit, down a little bit, up a little more, and it needs to be a gradual approach up, because those corrections, a correction is actually the correct thing for it to do. You don't want it to just go straight up. It needs to be gradual instead of straight. So it's actually good that this is happening. And like he's mentioning, the $58 to $62 per ounce range will help build a bottom. And that's exactly what I've been saying, is the $57, $58 range that we were just in last week, that might have been the bottom. And now that we broke above 60, like I said in the beginning of this video, now we're above 60, it's harder for it to go lower and easier for it to go higher, where before it was harder for it to go higher and easier for it to go lower. But as soon as we broke past the psychological $60 price, because there's a lot of psychology to investing, now we can talk about going up from there. And the 57, 58 might have been gone. But that also means that right now will be the cheapest prices that we could get silver possibly ever again. I could be wrong, might be wrong, who knows? But it could be, because that $58 region might have been the bottom from the $121 correction, which is pretty close to what it would look like if you're talking about a correction from that high. So hopefully you're acquiring silver right now, because someday you will be wishing that you could build a time machine and do that at these prices. So he believes that the future trend may be reflected in more mining stocks, with those companies expected to deliver strong earnings. So yeah. Anyways, I'm going to wrap this video up here. I thought it was really good. I thought this was a really good article. Not only from Jan, what was her name? Jan Stokes or Skoyles. Jan Skoyles, and the last guy as well. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Mlajnovic. Both of those people made some really good points. I think his name was Mike Mlajnovic. Paul Mlajnovic. And I actually think I'm saying that correctly. Mlajnovic. Yeah. Mlajnovic. Definitely Russian. But so yeah. Anyways, folks, I hope you guys... Oh, and I didn't even read the most important statement. So Mlajnovic also pointed out that the latest September COMEX silver futures are around 62.50. That level is attractive. He expects silver prices might rebound to 80 and test the $110 to $130 region next year, or range next year. So yeah, what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Also, real quick, make sure you, if you want to purchase precious metals, take advantage of these bottoms, then send an email to info@milesfranklin.com. Ask for their special price sheet that they don't advertise, and let them know Slayer sent you. Say, hey, Slayer sent me here. Can I get the special price sheet? Andy Scheckman gave my audience access, and then they'll send you the price sheet. Gold's the first, then it goes silver. All the prices are on the right, and it says what we have in stock, which is basically everything. The deals, the weekly specials, are highlighted in green at the very top of the price sheet, and you look down, you say, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. You send them the email back. They send you an invoice, you pay it. Once you pay it in 7 to 10 days, the other company that actually ships it out will send you the tracking number, or actually your broker will send you the tracking number. The company sends me the tracking number, as I used to be the broker, and then I send the tracking number to my client. But yeah, I used to do this all myself, so I know how it works, and it's beautiful. I bought a lot of silver myself as a broker through that. I mean, it's legit good prices, and you are helping out me and Andy Scheckman, which I feel like might be the last couple of honest, loyal, trustworthy people in this space. Just kidding. David Morgan's a great guy. Sean Kuhn's a great guy. Ian Harris is a great guy. There's a lot of great guys, so I take that back. But anyways, yeah, I'm gonna wrap this video up here. Thanks so much for tuning in. This was Silver Slayer. I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.
The silver market moves fast, but prices move even faster. Subscribe to Silver Slayer for daily updates.